source for everything Huskers.
Raiola takes a snap, fade route, back run to the end zone, 50-50 ball! Touchdown, Huskers!
Nebraska wins its 5th national championship.
Giving you an inside look at everything going on in Husker Nation. This is the KLIN Husker Hour.
Kicks and deals the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Jackson Brockett has the first 9-inning no-hitter for the Nebraska Cornhuskers since 1954, and he did it on his 12th strikeout.
Sunset, got it! Thunderdog, and then one! Exclamation point! Pump the brakes!
Now your hosts, KLIN contributor Cole Stukenholtz and sports director Nate Rohr.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition of the KLIN Husker Hour, a game day Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska. The Michigan Wolverines come to town, the University of Entitlement, as it were. And Nebraska is faced with another chance, another opportunity to make a big impact on a big stage. We will break it all down for you here on this hour. And we've got Husker pregame coverage coming up right after us at 10:30 with kickoff at 2:30 here on 1499.3 KLIN. Nate Rohr in studio with me, about to head over and be PA voice of Memorial Stadium. Nate,
yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's this one's different. This is a big time, big game.
Yes, and I'm sure you've got the vocal cords ready.
Yeah, though I need some coffee.
Yeah,
we got the coffee brewing. It'll be ready for the second segment. So if you can just get through this without pulling a vocal cord.
Yes,
I'll get okay.
Husker volleyball. They continue to do their thing. We'll talk about the Creighton match a little bit later on. And there's still not been a loss for the three major fall sports for Nebraska athletics, as Husker soccer did something pretty exciting late in a matchup with the top 10 team. So we'll also have Mike Schaefer alongside in a little bit to talk recruiting, break down this matchup with us, give us his thoughts as Nebraska takes on Michigan. And Nate, this is why you do what you do. This is why you, as a fan out there, why you are a fan, why you pay attention, why you go through the schedule before the season, why you talk all the time with your guys at work, with your friends. You break things down, you look ahead, and this is why Matt Rule comes to a place like Nebraska. This is why you go get Dylan Raiola to a place like Nebraska. It's for games like this. It's for the helmet matchup.
Yes.
The red N on the white helmet, the winged maize and blue of Michigan. This is why college football is awesome, and it's really good to have a matchup like this in Lincoln. And if you can get that win, if you can get that elusive ranked victory for the first time in 28 tries, it'll feel really different around here for the first time in a long time.
For a variety of reasons, not least the fact that it's a helmet matchup, like you mentioned. Even if, this was a Illinois team that was coming into Lincoln, 21st ranked, playing well, you would feel better about this win than you would feel about a seemingly better win against a better team that doesn't have the name brand, because college football is perception, it's brands, it's helmet matchups. The NFL kind of has this, but look, if the Jacksonville Jaguars are 13-0, they're 13-0. It's a big deal. Whereas if Indiana's 7-0, people go okay, but it doesn't carry the same juice. But you're talking about a helmet matchup. You're talking about a historic program that feels gettable in a lot of ways. And I wish I was ambitious enough to pick through all the point spreads of this 27-28 game losing streak against ranked opposition. I know last year, Illinois, I think, was ranked in one poll, and Nebraska was a favorite against them.
Right.
But very rarely has Nebraska either been a favorite or a tiny underdog. And that's been the case all week long. I mean, Nebraska's basically been a 1.5 to 2.5 point underdog all week. That's more or less a pick 'em in college football. And so this is the best chance. This is the best chance Nebraska's had to win a game like this. And then you layer on to that the expected Matt Rule third-year bump, and you layer on to that how well Nebraska's played, and the fact that, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, if Nebraska wins this one, this is a playoff contender, period. There's no finagling and if this and if that. Nebraska wins this one, they're 4-0. They'll be ranked, and more teams will lose during the off week. They will be right on the fringe of the playoff picture the next time they play. And again, it's been so long since we've been able to talk realistically about playoffs, about conference championship contention here, and feel like it's legitimate. Even the last time we were in this neighborhood in a lot of ways, 2016 Oregon. That was an Oregon team that ended up being a paper tiger.
4-8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a Nebraska team that, quite frankly, the schedule was a mirage. I mean, they started 7-0 and they got knocked around late and they got obliterated at Ohio State. Nebraska wins this one, you can start dreaming big, and everything is in play for this team if they win this one. And it's the ultimate test of how much Matt Rule has been able to build this thing up, in terms of culture, in terms of talent, in terms of the schemes fitting the talent. You talked about this is what we're college football fans for. Absolutely. And it will be a measuring stick game for everything, where this team is, how they play today, and also the overall, where is this program? Because we've got a lot of reasons to believe that they're on the doorstep, that they are about to work their way into the mix, but they've got to prove it. And today's the day that they can prove it.
We're up on the StreamYard. If you want to watch the show and be with us, we are on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages for KLIN. We're also on the Husker Hour Facebook page as well. Got a few of our friends in the stream now. Come join us. And you mentioned it. I mean, this is how it works. When you have a team that has a favorable schedule, and name brand or not, I mean, people were forecasting Indiana's schedule once it became apparent last year how good they were. Yeah, you're right. If Nebraska wins this game, they've got a bye week next week.
Yeah.
You're going to have 2 weeks of it where you're going to have that conversation build up as people look ahead. It's like, oh, wow, they really just have USC and Penn State left. Oh, geez, they could really do this. That is going to happen. So just prepare yourselves. It's not that a loss ends the season. We'll keep perspective there too, because it is still just September. They're going to have those chances later in the year. And we'll break down the matchup here in our next segment a little bit more, but with the stars aligning in terms of the atmosphere that it's going to be, you've got a bunch of national shows and acts and YouTube kind of personalities, if you will, if that's what Will Compton goes by these days, a YouTube personality podcaster. You've got Bussin' with the Boys in town. Obviously, Taylor Lewan's a Michigan guy, so you've got that whole thing. Pat McAfee has Matt Rule on every week now, so you have a national angle there. You have a lot going on with the CBS 2:30 slot. I mean, this is it's Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson.
Yeah,
it just feels big time here, and it's Nebraska's had opportunities to do this before. They've had game day with Ohio State in 2019. And you've had other games where it's like, oh boy, if they do it here, but you haven't had an edge at quarterback before, like you do in this game. Bryce Underwood maybe makes more money than Dylan Raiola right now,
at least for now.
But I think Dylan Raiola's experience is you certainly would give him the edge. And Michigan does not have their head coach for reasons today, and. Look, I think there are edges that you would give Michigan if you go through, this matchup and that matchup. But by and large, they've taken a step back last year after Jim Harbaugh left. They may take another step back this. Who knows what the future holds for the 2025 Wolverines? But right now, they are still a program that has a national championship in their back pocket from a couple seasons ago.
And guys who played on that team.
This is a program that still, you talk about how Nebraska doesn't know how to win over the last decade, right? They lose these games. Michigan has won a lot of these games. They just beat the national champions last year.
In their building.
Right. So that part of it, that angle of it is fascinating to me because you obviously have them favored. Michigan's favored in this game, even though they're in Nebraska's house. But Michigan is a program that's used to winning. Their players, their coaching staff, they come into a game like this and they expect to win. That's not inherent with this Nebraska program yet. So that's the domino that Matt Rule and staff have been trying to knock over to start this ball rolling. They've got a ton of recruits in here. They've got all of the things are lined up.
Yep.
You've got it all like the big domino spread where you just push the one over and then everything ripples.
Right.
If it happens, it'll be big time to lead to all the other things that are possible for this season.
You mentioned the 2019 Ohio State game, and there was the Michigan game that Nebraska played 21 where they played them very close. And the issue there is, one, Nebraska was not undefeated going into those games.
Yep.
And two, you really had to kind of finagle things. A lot of stars and planets had to align for Nebraska to win those games. That doesn't have to happen here. Believe it or not, Nebraska does not have to play a perfect game. They have to do a lot of things really well. And boy, if they played the perfect game, that'd be nice. They don't have to play the perfect game. This is more or less even talent-wise. You've got a freshman quarterback who's only started one road game. And even his body of work so far, 3 games, it's not like the stats don't lie. I mean, he's completing, I think, 57% of his passes. Yeah. He is a bit of a danger running the ball, but it's not his forte. This is not Michael Vick. And while Michigan has some talent advantages, it's not overwhelming. It's not every spot. And there are places, especially if this game plays out a certain way, where you can neutralize those talent advantages pretty easily. So it is just a massive opportunity. And you think about it in the progression of a program and finding ways to win. Let's start the tape with the Wisconsin game last year. Nebraska was better than Wisconsin. They were in a better place than Wisconsin. And they beat them, and they beat them pretty comfortably. Okay, that's the 100 level class. Then you get, they lose the game at Iowa, which was disappointing.
Yeah.
But you get to Boston College and even Cincinnati this year, and these are teams that are close to you in talent, but you have more talent than them, but you have to close them out somehow. Okay, that's the 102. The 201's keep in your head after winning those games and saying, all right, we're going to go out and we're going to play great football for 4 quarters, even if the game's already decided. Mission accomplished there. This is the 202. This is taking a team that is as talented or slightly more so than you and beating them. A coin flip game and winning it. And how many coin flip games or games where you sit there and go, this game's 60-40. One way or another. How many of those has Nebraska won lately? I mean,
you'd think that if you call tails 10 times,
right,
it'll come up tails 5. It's not how it's worked for Nebraska lately.
Not even close. I mean, or at least, if you flip it 10 times, it'll come up tails 4 or 3.
Right.
It's more like 1 or 2. I mean, so there's been bad luck. There's been bad execution. All of that. There's been everything that's worked against Nebraska. And that can be exercised here today, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. We'll break down the matchup when we come back. As I mentioned, we'll also have Mike Schaefer, Husker247. He'll break down the matchup, too, give us his thoughts, and just how big a recruiting weekend is this going to be. You've got a lot of stars in the building today at Memorial Stadium. Plus, volleyball, another 5-set thriller. Of course, Danny Busboom Kelly's not losing to Creighton in her first chance against the Blue Jays. And maybe is there a world champion 3 times over to lead the Huskers out of the tunnel?
Dare to dream. I know nothing.
I don't know. I think we could see Mr. Terrence Bud Crawford in the building today as well. It is a fun Saturday. We're getting you ready, taking you right up to Huskers Radio Network pregame coverage at 10:30. We'll be off at 10, but 10:30 is when pregame coverage picks up. Michigan, Nebraska. More breaking down of that when we come back here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
At Momo Pizzeria and Ristorante, they believe in the art of quality. That's why Momo uses locally sourced ingredients to craft every dish, from their hand-tossed
KLIN.
In the game early on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a freshman who's still getting his feet wet, who's still finding his way. I'm sure John Butler's thinking putting pressure on him early. You've got the defensive backs to man him up.
Mhm.
You can leave Sierra Wright and Andrew Marshall out on an island and take your chances. So get Bryce Underwood worried early. He must go down, and he must go down hard. Blitz him like crazy. And here's the other thing. Like, think about it like a baseball pitcher. That's your fastball. That's being aggressive. And then later on in the game, you can show blitz all you want. You still blitz some, but you're dropping guys back into coverage. You fake him out. That's all if you get a lead or if you get ahead early. So utterly critical that Nebraska starts fast. And you hear that every game. But at the same time, this is not a game. If Michigan gets a 10-point lead, you get really worried really fast, because I don't know that Nebraska can slow down Justice Haynes. Yeah. So the way to win this game is to get it to where they have to abandon him, where they have to put him on the shelf. And you do that by really coming out with the hounds of hell to start that first drive. And then be hell on wheels, as Matt Rule said.
Yes.
And really make life difficult for Bryce Underwood. Hit him, pressure him, sack him, and then take your chances the rest of the way. Because if you can get him worried and you can get a lead to where they can't use Justice Haynes, this shapes up pretty well for Nebraska. I think the Huskers are going to be able to move the ball some on Michigan. I think Nebraska's going to be able to move the ball fairly regularly on Michigan. I mean, they're not going to march up and down in the field and score.
You think Archie Wilson's actually going to play today?
I do think Archie Wilson will actually pump the football.
If you take it the first 3 games and you extrapolate that out over the season, he's on pace to redshirt.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Your starting punter's on pace to redshirt right now.
You say that. Remember, Archie came on as the
you're right,
as the safety in the victory formation.
Gosh, dang it, Rule.
Yeah, no kidding.
Never mind.
We blew that game.
Never mind.
Somehow, I think he's going to play
I think so.
more than 3 games in conference play. I mean, if he doesn't, holy cow, scoring explosion 2.0. But I have confidence in Nebraska's ability to score points. It's just, and I have confidence in Nebraska's ability to stop the pass game of Michigan. It's just, can we keep this out of Justice Haynes' wheelhouse?
Yeah.
I don't know that Nebraska can stop a good running attack.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my biggest question about this team.
Yep, same. And when you look at the other side of the ball, you mentioned, hey, Nebraska's going to be able to move the ball a little bit here or there. Obviously, the big plays came against Akron and Houston Christian. The big plays were not there necessarily against Cincinnati. I'll be interested to see how aggressive Dana Holgerson wants to be, especially early in this game, to see if they want to dictate things or if they're just going to, just take what's there. The piece of Raiola's game that I think has really improved, and you've heard coaches talk about it, you've heard him talk about it, it's the pre-snap adjustments, making sure everything's lined up, getting guys in the right spots, calling out protections. That part of it is going to be important because Wink Martindale is the DC for Michigan, comes from the Ravens, a lot of time in Baltimore. He's got a lot of looks. He's going to give him a lot of different things to look at, a lot of window dressing, a lot of, I'm coming here. Nope, never mind, I'm coming here. A lot of that is going to exist on Michigan's defense. Raiola's got to be able to see that and adjust before the snap and then recognize it right away when the snap comes to be able to distribute the ball quickly, get it out of his hands, because part of why he struggled late last season was he was dinged up. Yeah. You don't want to have that happen. So making sure that you got the line in the right places, if you're keeping it back into block, hopefully it's Emmett Johnson. I think he's the best one at it. And speaking of Emmett Johnson, he better be ready to play a lot today because he's going to need that, 32 touches against Cincinnati.
32 touches against Cincinnati. He's going to get that.
Yes. Yes. So can Nebraska slow down Michigan's aggressive nature, read the blitzes, make sure they're ready for those, and get Raiola to the point where he can be that point guard. He can find this guy's open because they're coming from this area. And okay, we have it in a pass, but this front, I want to run it. I'm going to change the call. We're going to go run, see if they run some RPOs because that'll give him choices. And so far this year, outside of, one sketchy throw on a 4th down against Cincinnati, and then he got stripped from behind running, other than that, he's played dang near flawless football.
No doubt about it. He's protected the ball really well. And you mentioned there haven't even really been that many close calls for giveaways, let alone giveaways. So that makes you feel really good. And you know, I know people kind of get frustrated with just putting the ball in play, you know, a phrase that Dana Holgorsen has used, but you can use the pass game as an extension of the run game to just gain 4 yards and get you 2nd and 6. And I expect that to be a part of the game plan, and also manage the game to where Michigan doesn't get as many possessions, and again has to go away from the run, because that's where they're strong. And Raiola has, you know, we talked about the class progression. Raiola's hopped up 3 grades, you know, in terms of his administration of the offense, his leadership on the field. You know, this is the growth curve of a highly talented quarterback. We were saying, hey, Nebraska's got a clear edge at quarterback. Bryce Underwood isn't quite Dylan Raiola. That's the case right now. That's the picture right now. There's just so much development that happens year 1 to year 2. Hey, Bryce Underwood may be the greatest quarterback in the history of college football by the time he's done, but it's not senior year or even junior year Bryce Underwood that's playing. It's freshman year Bryce Underwood. And we saw the growing pains of Dylan Raiola, again, a guy who knows the X's and O's of the game better than anybody else. We saw those growing pains last year. And he's really done a nice job taking a step forward. This is going to be a real test, because Wink Martindale is one of the best defensive minds in football. But at the same time, you feel like Raiola is ready to meet that challenge.
Yeah, and when you look at offensively for Nebraska, Dana Holgorsen has been he's been in place now 7 games, 4 last year, 3 this year. He and Raiola, I think, are pretty much on the same page at this point now, yes, in terms of, hey, this is what we see. This is how we want to attack. This is what we see pre-snap. This is what we're going to do to change that. That part of Raiola's game, you can tell that really developed over the summer. And a lot of that, I'm sure, is just a lot of back and forth with Dana Holgorsen. So how Holgorsen chooses to game plan for this Michigan front, how he chooses to attack them. Don't forget Michigan's guy in the middle there of that defense, Columbus, Nebraska's Ernest Hausman, which is a nice little wrinkle to this whole this whole scene today. So how Holgorsen decides to attack this defense and the game plan that they've put in, Nebraska's got options all over the field. You feel pretty good about the receivers. I'm interested to see if you see Ja'Cory Barney play a large role today, whether it's, you know, catching passes out in routes. You put him in the backfield a little bit, have him run some jet sweeps. And don't forget about special teams either. We talked a little bit about Archie, but Nebraska's actually really highly rated this season for special teams nationally, between the punt return game, Archie Wilson pinning guys back, pinning Cincinnati inside the 23 times, inside the 10 twice. Those, and Kyle Kinnanen has not missed yet this year. So all of that to say, Nebraska could have the edge on special teams. Looks like they have the edge on special teams. Nebraska, I think, has the edge on offense in terms of comparing Nebraska's offense to Michigan's offense. I would give the tick to Michigan's defense overall. I think just the secondary for Nebraska, I think, would take the day, but Michigan's front 7, I would say, is probably better and more qualified to dominate a game. So it's right there. It's an even matchup. It's just, it comes down to
your building,
and it's in your building. It comes down to those few plays that Nebraska just hasn't made. Right. If the ball bounces, you've got to be the one to jump on it. If there's a critical 3rd or 4th down decision, Matt Rule's got to be the one to say, yeah, we're going, and make the call and go quick, and don't hesitate. Those aspects of the game have gone far too long against Nebraska, and this is their chance to flip that script.
No question about it. And again, it's where you can draw on the Pinstripe Bowl experience and on the experience and understand, hey, we've been in this situation before, just against a slightly lesser team. But we can get it done. And if we truly look at this as a nameless, faceless opponent, as they've said that they do, hey, that's just, number 72 in blue and maize and blue over there. I can handle him. I can make that block. So, you know what? Has this team won this game yet? No, not lately. But it's the next step because they've done everything up to that point.
Yeah, agreed. All right. When we come back, we will talk with Mike Schaefer from Husker247, get his thoughts on what this game will look like and what may happen, as well as just how big a recruiting weekend is this and how Nebraska's lined up their 26 and 27 classes to follow on with their what they could think of as will be success here in 2025. So Schaefer, after this, we'll also get to Husker volleyball against Creighton and get our picks for today's game, Nebraska-Michigan, coming up at 2:30 here on KLIN. More to come with Schaefer right after this here on 1499.3 KLIN.
For over 80 years, Farm Bureau Financial Services has been protecting farmers and ranchers season after season.
You need to know you're covered and you've got somebody covering your back.
You've got local people that everybody knows.
And we have a good policy and a good agent, and I guess that's what you need to be able to sleep at night.
Rolling along here on your Saturday morning. We're going to get connected here with Mike Schaefer shortly. And I look forward to a lot of the atmosphere with this game today. You're going to have a lot of recruits in the stands. It's going to be obviously another sellout. I think 406 is where we're on now. Mm-hmm. And I know you are involved in the game day atmosphere as PA voice of Memorial Stadium. Nate, what are you looking forward to the most when you get to a game like this in terms of how you can impact it and some of the call and response things that the fans do? What do you look forward to the most?
I think most naturally it'd be that first third down, because everybody's at full throat. Nobody's worn out. Nobody's doubting that this team can come up with a win. I would say that, of course, when the team comes onto the field, that's a big deal as well. Even though I could give my phone number, I could give my social security number, nobody would hear it well enough to take it down. I think
you should try that sometime.
Maybe not. But at any rate, even my first announcement traditionally is, it's football Saturday in Lincoln and there is no place like Nebraska, and it always gets a little reaction. But for a game like this, people will be butts in seats an hour before kickoff. I mean, that place will be 2/3 full,
right?
An hour before kick. So that'll be the first hit of adrenaline, and then the tunnel walk, and then that first third down, and then ideally, hopefully, third downs that matter throughout the game, and those last few where the place is coming unhinged. So yeah. I expect, people were trying to compare this to the Colorado atmosphere. I don't know that we'll quite get there, just because night game versus 2:30,
right?
History of hatred versus history of fair dislike. I think let's be real. We were talking about this on the show yesterday on the tailgate show. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of warm and fuzzies between Nebraska and Michigan. This is not a team a program that you sit back and go, I really like them. Look, this is an arrogant program that cheated its way to its only consensus national championship since 1947. And their other claimed national championship, they had to steal half from us, and the Rose Bowl clock operator fell asleep at the wheel. And we all know that if Nebraska and Michigan played in 1997, Brian Greasy would have been mulch for the ground on which he would have been playing, because Wistrom and Peter would have torn his head off.
And oh, by the way, their Heisman Trophy winner would have been null and void, because the option is not going to involve throwing to a cornerback.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 97. That always comes up, and it's a quick debate in my mind. Look, with the way that Nebraska and Michigan kind of carry themselves, their reputations, the national brands that they are, this is one of those games that gets a lot of attention nationally. And when you have that opportunity, as we've talked about, it's important to be able to pick that up and go. And so with having Nebraska being able to have the opportunity to play on this stage, obviously we know what's at stake. The playoff conversation is there. Everything's really on the table for this one. So with that, let's welcome another voice to that conversation.
Here is Mikey.
Mike Schaefer from Husker247 joining Husker Hour here this morning. Schaefer, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry about that, gentleman. Was a little slow getting out of the house, so I had to get everything put away, make sure I have my press credentials so I don't show up and then have to figure that out. But yeah, so I'm good to go. I apologize.
No, all good. I think everybody's good to go at this point with all the anticipation from the offseason. You got by the Cincinnati game, and I feel like it's just been 3 weeks of, all right, when's Michigan? What are you looking forward to the most when you get into the building today?
Yeah, I mean, I am excited to see what version of Nebraska football shows up in a meaningful game. I mean, I think we saw against Cincinnati that they came able to find themselves. They shut the game down at the end. There was moments where it felt like they were about to pull away, but they just didn't quite do it. And I'm fascinated in a home environment, in a game that's been built up, how Nebraska comes out and plays. I just, they've got, and it has nothing to do with the current players, but they have a little bit of a history of, when these sort of games that get built up and then they go play them, they don't always show up and play their best football. So we'll see what this version of Nebraska football looks like. We'll see what Matt Rule and company has in store for Michigan. Inside the actual game itself, I think I'm most fascinated to see where Nebraska's biggest advantage is. Is it their defensive backs against Michigan's wide receivers? Is it Nebraska's wide receivers against Michigan's defensive backs? I think those are the things that are going to be key, regardless of what the running game looks like for either side. I think Nebraska might have a decided advantage both passing and against the pass today, which is a little bit surprising when you're talking about a team the caliber of Michigan.
Yeah, you talk about that, and how many times have we been able to say that, where Nebraska will be both the better passing team and the better team against the pass? My biggest concern coming into this game is how will Nebraska control Justice Haynes? How do you see that working out?
Yeah, I think that John Butler is going to have a few different things dialed up. I also think what works in Nebraska's favor is that if they don't allow Michigan to get into a series of third and shorts, I mean, you got to win a down every now and then early in this thing, and then you put the onus on Bryce Underwood to go make plays, and then it really feels like it sits in John Butler's favor, where you're talking about a veteran coach with NFL experience who's going against a freshman in the fourth start of his career without his head coach. So I think they have a few things probably cooked up. They might allow themselves to just try to play Michigan's receivers straight up as much as possible so they can commit as many guys into the box. I mean, it's a big day. It's always a big day for tackling. But it feels like even more so because the thing about Michigan running back, it's not the initial contact that scares you about them. It's the fact that they can run through it. Like every Michigan running back, it feels like Nebraska's played since Jim Harbaugh was hired. I know he's not there anymore, but since he was hired, I mean, all of those guys just run through contact, and Justice is no different. And so I think you've got to have guys rallying to the ball. You've got to have guys that can hold on for support in the second team to join them. And you got to get them to the ground. And you're not going to stop them to the tune of 50-some yards, but can you slow them down? Can you make them commit 20 carries for 85 yards? I mean, that kind of game, I think you can live with that.
Mike Schaefer, Husker247, joining us here on Husker Hour, talking Nebraska-Michigan. Let's flip to recruiting. It's one of the aspects of the atmosphere is going to be there's a lot of high schoolers going to be in the building checking this thing out. What's Nebraska targeting with this recruiting class? Is it 25, 26, 27, certain position groups? What kind of mix are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, this is predominantly 27, 28. There's some 29. There's even a couple 8th graders that are going to be in attendance. But, we don't have to spend a lot of time on 2030. I got to be honest, that hits me pretty hard when I have to write the term 2030 or even just see it.
Dear God.
So, we'll just move on past that one. But I think Nebraska's looking to load up on the best offensive lineman they can in that 2027 class. The top guy in today, Kennedy Brown from, I believe, the Houston area. And he is the number 2 player in the country for 24/7 Sports, number 1, I think, on 24/7 Sports Composite. A very talented offensive lineman that has a relationship with Trey Taylor, Nebraska's quarterback commit. But more importantly than that, he has a great relationship with Nebraska. So he's really talked up Nebraska, really seems to feel good about what the Huskers have going on. And so it's an opportunity to get a guy and show him what the atmosphere looks like. I mean, the thing about this recruiting window is it's so different than what we're used to. It's even different than Colorado, where so many of the big important visitors are only high school juniors. So there is a ton of lead time. So you don't want to make too much of any of this. But the important thing is you get them on campus, let them soak in the environment. You let them see the facilities. You let them spend time with their position coaches. And then they get a better picture for what Nebraska is. So when you turn around later in the year and you start handing out your invites to your elite junior day, Nebraska's on the schedule because they want to get back. So, there's nobody that's going to be for this next upcoming cycle for 2026 where, Nebraska has an opportunity to flip some huge guys. Like they did that last year in Colorado with Dawson Merritt and Cortez Mills. It's not that, but there's a lot of these 2027 recruits. I mentioned Kennedy Brown. You've got guys from Oklahoma, from Florida, from California. You have, I think, last check on just 24/7 Sports rankings, 8 or 9 4-stars that are going to be in for the 27 class, another 2 for the 28 class. You have the number 3 player in the country for 2028, Marcus Bakatu, I believe is how it's pronounced. He's coming from the same high school as one TJ Lateef. And so there's just interesting visitors going to be here for this game, and you have a great chance to jumpstart your relationship with top players around the country. This is a C2C recruiting visit weekend.
Schaefer, you talk about the importance of this game with the visitors showcasing the atmosphere, whether it's people visiting or whether it's even prospective student athletes sitting at home watching this. Hey, the atmosphere will be great. We can guarantee that. But how important is it for Nebraska to win this game, just from that standpoint, from the standpoint of showing, proof of concept in this program with Matt Rule, that not only can they win the games they're supposed to win, but actually get it done when the teams come in more or less on equal terms.
You know, it's a fascinating situation because this game is so much more important in the hearts and minds of Nebraska football players and coaches and fans, just to prove that, hey, we're part of this Big Ten conference as we move into this era of, you know, unknown what's going to happen with college football. Nebraska cannot rest on the laurels of being one of the historic great programs in college football history. They need to prove that they can still be great in current times. And so I know Michigan, a win against Michigan doesn't prove that you're great. But what it proves is that you can hang in the top half of the Big Ten conference, which is something Nebraska hasn't proven on the football field for more than a decade. And so this is a big opportunity to show everyone, like, hey, this program isn't a has-been. This is still something that's moving forward. And you have the opportunity to get a win against the Michigan program that's ranked. You can snap a bunch of the dumb streaks that we talk about with Matt Rule or with this program that has nothing to do with a lot of these players. Right. But it's an opportunity to just say, like, this is the Nebraska football program of the future. It's not one that has to talk about being good at some point. It's one that might be good right now.
All right, back to the game itself. Nebraska wins if, and Michigan wins if, Schaefer.
Yeah, I think Nebraska wins if they basically take care of the football. They let their playmakers do what they do best, which is still make plays. And they have an opportunity to slow down Michigan. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game from either team. And I think Nebraska's specialists to be some of the difference today, too.
All right. And your pick, are you taking Nebraska or Michigan?
Yeah, I've been on Nebraska, and this one I think it's a great schedule spot. I think playing Michigan right now versus playing Michigan, at another point in time in the schedule is very favorable for Nebraska. And so I am taking the Huskers here, and so I have them 20-17, same score as Cincinnati. And I think it's going to be kind of a similar game where you never get to feel that good about what you have going on with Nebraska, but you get the opportunity to see a program prove that on the football field it deserves to be in the conversation.
I think Husker fans would take not feeling good during the game to have a feel-good moment at the end. Yeah. They'd take that trade for sure. Mike Schaefer, Husker247. Always good stuff from you. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you up there in the box.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Mike Schaefer. Traveling down from, he's now an Omaha Metro guy, just like you.
Yeah. So he's braving I-80 as I did. It's not bad yet, but give it time. It'll start to stack up.
Yeah, it definitely will. All right. We're going to come back, talk about volleyball. The number one team in the country went 5 with their in-state rivals, but come on, you know who won.
24-0, baby.
We'll break that,
Creighton.
We'll break that down and get you ready for the rest of the Saturday when we come back here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
Whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, please don't wake.
Are you ready for a new opportunity?
So the Huskers.
You just don't know. I mean, I mentioned Nebraska was able to dominate the sets that they won. But like you said, that Penn State match last year, you just don't know how you're going to come out for that fifth set. And you don't know, frankly, how the other guy's going to come out for their fifth set. I mean, especially if they won set 4 to stay alive. You know, you had a chance, you had a match point, or you had a lead to where you were close to it. They got a stay of execution. So they're probably in a place where they're pretty loose, where they're thinking, all right, the game's starting to roll in our favor. And your head as a player can be, are we going to choke it away? So yeah, it's just better to not let it go 5.
Yes.
The best way to win close games, don't let them get close.
That's right. That's right. But to be fair, they don't ask you how. They ask you how many. And
just win, baby.
Nebraska is still unbeaten. They do have Arizona tonight. It's an 8:00 first serve. Pregame will be at 7. That'll be over on B107.3. Nebraska football, 2:30 kick. That means 10:30 pregame. Just about a half hour from now, right here on 1499.3 KLIN. Nate and I will give you our picks when we come back as we wrap up the show.
You're listening to the KLIN Husker Hour. Executive Travel Talk is next on 1400.
of the KLIN Husker Hour. We shall see if Nebraska is 4-0 heading into a bye week with playoff conversation. Can they do it? Stay tuned right here on KLIN. Go Big Red.
At Vala's Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, we're picking pumpkins from the field and apples